Bumaba ka dyan, putang ina mo, bungal na.
Good morning everyone, the MMDA are back in Baclaran. You can see the police are also here to provide security and keep public order. What you'll notice is that pretty much all of the vendors are gone. The team have been working here hard for around a week now. Sorry, my voice is a little bit croaky. They've removed all of the vendors that were along here, all of the vendors by the train station, all of the vendors at the front of Baclaran where they normally obstruct Dunkin' Donuts, KFC and all the other businesses. Actually, from what I heard, I missed one day, and from what I heard there was a whole busload of sidewalk clearing team. So not only did you have Task Force Special Operations Alpha and Bravo, but the head of the sidewalk clearing team, Francis Martinez, provided a whole busload of men. I think there was around 100 men, so they're very serious about clearing Baclaran and keeping it clear. Another thing I've noticed is there is no Colorum tricycles here today. Normally there's a lot of them. It's amazing how different the area looks. Hopefully now that this is cleared, the jeepneys will start going down here again, because for a long time the jeepneys have avoided this area because they say they can't pass through with the vendors, and that's caused a big problem for commuters. They end up having to walk a lot further than they want to. And in fact, there you go, I've just seen a few jeepneys come through. Before you wouldn't see them here at all, so that's brilliant news. If you look over here, you can see this is a fresh building under construction, and the workers just said what they're going to do is extend their wall out to keep the vendors away so that they can keep this clear, because this here is the sidewalk. This is still private property or some kind of easement, so they're working very fast. Actually, they're taking the opportunity while the vendors aren't here to block this off and prevent them from coming back. Imagine if you bought this land and you started building and then you realized, oh, my land has been taken over by vendors. You would be so disappointed, because that's your investment down the drain. So I can imagine that there are a lot of building owners who are very happy right now, not just here but all across Baclaran. Over here they stopped this motorcycle rider for not wearing a helmet and driving in slippers. Unfortunately he can't show a license, so the bike is also going to be impounded. There are a few vendors over here, but right now they're on private property. I believe they're still going to be cleared because it's very unlikely that the Philippine National Bank have given them permission to occupy that space. And in fact, you can see they're packing up their stuff now because the sidewalk clearing team are coming down the road. So there are a few that are still, you know, testing the waters, but no, it's really being cleared. Now under the train station it's not quite perfect. There's still a lot of vendors on the sidewalk and in the road. There's also those who are wheeling away their stuff. You can see they do actually have legitimate stores over there, so if they stayed inside that, no problem. But once they start extending onto the road and the sidewalk, that's when there's a problem. And of course there's a lot of complaints from the commuters because they say the vendors bother them. They say they block the entrance and exit of the train station. So there are a lot of complaints. And over here you can see there's a bunch of carts also. They were all doing business here, but now they've wheeled away. That's a problem with these carts are on wheels. When the MMDA come, they wheel them away. When the MMDA leave, they wheel them back again. And if there's no confiscation, if there's no ticket, then of course they don't comply because they don't take you seriously. So yeah, it's not quite perfect, but it is a lot better. You will see there's no more permanent installations on the sidewalk or the road, but there are still a few things to be worked on. And over here you can see the sidewalk clearing team are putting some stuff on the back of their truck. They have a sign there, they have a couple of carts. Unfortunately there's still a lot of litter on the floor here. Unfortunately this is what happens with the vendors. When they finish with their stuff, they just throw it on the ground and wait for someone else to clean it up. In fact, sometimes I think the sidewalk clearing team, they're just taking away people's garbage, but they have made a big difference here, so you have to be impressed with that. Over here, this is actually all sidewalk also. Again, there are legitimate stores behind that, but they shouldn't be on the sidewalk here. So I guess the sidewalk clearing team will move in and deal with this now. As I've said in other videos recently, should really be the barangay that are keeping on top of most of this, but unfortunately it's left to the MMDA, and of course their resources are stretched pretty thin because they have a lot of areas to cover, many different cities inside Metro Manila, many different barangays. They can't do it all by themselves. Over here they're taking away this one and a table and some other stuff, basically furniture that's used for obstructing the sidewalk to sell goods. It's not so much about confiscating the goods, but more about the furniture that's used to do the business in the first place. Like I mentioned, these are legitimate shops. If they just stay inside their own private building, there won't be any problem, but when they extend onto the sidewalk, when they extend into the road, that's when it becomes a problem, because that's not their space. That's owned by the government, it's owned by the people. It's really a public space. You can see right now they're throwing their stuff inside. I think the white thing, I don't know what you call that, but the white thing is being confiscated by the team. And here you go, you can see one of them's going on the back of the truck, and they're bringing this one over that will also go on the back of the truck. Honestly, they need a bigger truck, and they need more trucks, because you have to remember, all of the men have to sit in here, so they can't even occupy the whole thing. Perhaps that's why they bought a bus the other day, because you really need a lot of men, and you need a lot of space. And unfortunately, what I've noticed is there are still pee bottles around and pee bags, so the vendors are still peeing and then just leaving it. I don't understand. I mean, it's one thing to occupy the space and to do your business, but just to leave your pee laying around everywhere. They don't even put the lids on the bottle, they leave the lid off, so whoever cleans it up ends up with pee all over their hands. It's a little bit disrespectful, or it's very disrespectful. And over here I can see a bunch of extension cables hanging down here. I wonder where the power is coming from, if it's really coming from a meter or if it's from a jumper. I posted a picture a few days ago, or a couple of days ago, which showed a jumper wire going up to the power lines that vendors have been using, so it could be a jumper. And you can see they're just dismantling it now. Even if they're getting power from a legitimate place, for instance, they're paying the building owner over there, there's no reason for it to be in a public road like this. And it could pose a danger, because children come along, adults come along, they touch it, it's not safe wiring, it doesn't conform to any kind of regulations, so they're just going to remove it now. Aside from safety concerns, it encourages vendors to come back, because they can easily plug in for light, for fans, for things like that. So you see they've got their snippers and they're going to take it down. And you can see they're just cutting it over here. They want to make sure it's not easy for them to reconnect, so they'll take that away, and that will be a confiscated item. Same over here, they did the same thing, took it down, confiscated it. And over here they're snipping this one and taking it also. The store owner wanted to keep it, but they're telling him no, it's confiscated, because if they let them keep it, it will just be reinstalled again in a couple of hours. So they're cutting it now and they'll be confiscating it. And what you'll notice is that there are barriers installed along here, but when you get to this point over here, someone's taken them down. Most likely they took those down so that they could put their vending stores there. This is really the lengths that people would go to. They have no regard for the public space. And over here you can see they're bringing down more electrical wiring. They pulled up the truck so they can get access to it. This should make a difference, because without power it's a lot more uncomfortable for vendors. And they just brought the truck this side so they could take down some more wiring. It's amazing how much wiring they've run, how much electrical wiring. But hopefully this will really be the last of it. And again, they'll cut the wires here in front of the store and then take away to try and stop it from being reused. This is another sidewalk clearing truck. You can see it's pretty heavily loaded, so they've taken a lot of stuff. And the sidewalk clearing team were just called in to deal with this, because there are still some of the shops obstructing the sidewalk. Like I said, they do have space. Inside they have space. So all they're asking is don't obstruct the sidewalk, don't obstruct the road. Unfortunately, this is the reality of vendors wheeling away. They only go as far as this, or they only go down the side street. And you can see that since the team have moved forward, some of the vendors have already come out again. They're just waiting for the team to leave, and then they'll roll all their stuff and they'll put it here again. So that's the problem with vendors that have their stuff on wheels. They will wheel it away when told to do so, but then they'll also wheel it back as soon as you leave. And the same thing over here, they're just waiting for the team to leave so that they can wheel their carts out again. So I guess it's something that the MMDA need to address, because it's not worth their time going here and moving vendors if they're going to come back immediately, especially because the barangay have already made it clear that they don't plan to stay on top of this. Unless the MMDA are here, there's no one in charge. So yeah, maybe it's something that the MMDA need to consider, what to do with these ones that are on wheels. And this is a little bit annoying to see, the MMDA having to sweep up all the trash of the vendors. Incredible, absolutely incredible. They should not have to do this. It's good that someone is doing it, but it should not have to be them. Over here the team are making a pile of stuff that's to go on the back of the truck, basically left here by the stairs of the station. You can see over here someone's brought in a cart to take away these goods. It's a little, sort of like a little restaurant or cafeteria type thing, but it's just built on the sidewalk, so of course the team wants to clear that. The sidewalk clearing team are now asking the rest of these vendors to move their stuff off the sidewalk, but they're just looking at him like, yeah, why? Because there's no truck here. But once they reverse the truck back down the road, you'll see them move their stuff. Here comes the truck now reversing back, and here go the vendors moving their stuff. They're very, very stubborn. They will not move it unless there's a truck. and unless there's a risk of confiscation. Over here you can see they're still loading up this cart. They're pretty much going as slow as possible, and that's a common trick from vendors. They will move very, very slowly because they know the team don't have all day. They have a lot of work to do. So what they do is they try and waste as much time as possible and hope that the team move on, and then they'll just keep doing business as usual. And someone from the LRT just came out. He's also talking to the team about what he wants done. So for those that don't understand Tagalog, what the guy from the train station was saying is they don't allow any of this. The only thing they allow is inside. So the team is still working on clearing this now. And I think the team will be cutting these electrical wires also because it runs all the way along here, up there, and then into the middle. There's no reason to be running electrical wires into a public road. So they're working on removing this now. It's good that someone from the LRT came out to speak to the team because it makes it very clear that they do not want this, they do not allow this. Some guys have come up now and they're trying to take the fencing away, but the team are telling them no, it's considered as confiscated, because if they let them keep it, of course they're just going to reinstall it again, and that's what happens every time. So they're advising them it's really considered as confiscated. The team are now moving in again. This is the stuff they cleared earlier, and now it's being put back.
Nakalis na kayo, binalikan mo pa. Wala talagang ano, pare.
Hindi, sandali lang.
Maano ka naman?
Sandali lang. Papaliwanag ko sa'yo. Sandali lang. Papaliwanag ko, sandali lang. Bibar, 5-9.
Pare.
Inagsitro, bench yung ano na yan, ibalik na lang kung ano, apat yan. Iyan o.
Kernel, masyado ano, Kernel.
Hindi
kasi ikaw talagang nangunguna dito,
Kernel. General yan. Hindi yan Kernel. General yan, hindi yan Kernel. Nakatag General. General. Ano yan, General? Hindi po, kami nag-ano ba? Ay, General yan. Sobrang ka, Kernel. General.
All of these guys are shouting at the guy now, one of the enforcers, saying, hey, you're not a colonel, you're not a general. No, he's not, but he's a man that's doing his job. I'm sure that some of these probably work for the barangay as well, and this is not how they should operate, and they shouldn't try and bully the guy. So yeah, they can all look at us and they can all say things and they can all stare and they can make comments, but these are hard-working men and they're actually doing their job and they're helping the country. So yeah, over here this guy's trying to take down this extension lead, again running to the middle of the road. The team are now continuing down the road and the sidewalks look pretty clear. Not perfect, but a lot better than usual. Further down the road you can see the Bravo team's been busy. Their truck's already pretty heavily loaded with various different things. Like I said, the MMDA are very serious about clearing up Baclaran. I saw a couple of guys here from Barangay Baclaran, Task Force Baclaran. I don't know what they do exactly, but MMDA are clearing the area. Somebody joked that this is the grand opening of the grocery store because before you couldn't even see it with all the vendors in front, and now there's access again. One thing I noticed is look at all the water here, stagnant water. That means a lot of mosquitoes. In fact, I can see them all flying around. This is something that the barangay need to deal with ASAP. This is a health hazard.
Hindi po kasi nanghirap-hirap po kayo pakiusap para na hindi naman tao eh. Nakikiusap na nga ako, sabi ko, sir, baka pwede kasi pinakiusapan ko na yan. O pare-pare naman po tayo tao, nabubuhay kami sa bangkita, kaya alam namin kung anong batas. Pag sinabi nyo sa gilid kami, sa gilid lang kami. Pag sinabi nyo na ano, pag hindi naman kami pumayag, wala naman kami magagawa, sir eh. Pwesto namin to, dito kami nabubuhay. Hindi kami nang hold up. Anong gusto niyo, mang hold up pagtinda ng siyabo? Yun ang gusto niyo. Nabubuhay po kami ng marangal dito. Dito namin pinag-aaral yung mga anak namin. Simula umpisa, dito na kami pinanganak, dito na kami nabuhay. Kaya hindi po namin alam kung ano yung mga ano. Pag sinabi niyo huli-huli, sumusunod po kami sa batas.
I can hear the lady cussing at them again. Every time the camera goes near, she stops swearing, but when the camera's there, she's full beast mode.
Bumaba ka dyan, putang ina mo, bungal na. Ang adik! Adik ka! Adik ka! Diktagan mo yung mukha mo! Mukhang adik! Adik!
Right now they're issuing a ticket to the driver of this truck. He's parked here picking up used oil, but you can see there's a sign up there that says no parking both sides. So they'll issue a ticket and then ask him to move on. A few days ago I showed that all of these vendors were gone and I said, wow, you can now go inside Dunkin' Donuts, you can go inside the shops. It looks like a lot of them are back. It's not quite as bad as it was over the Christmas season where even these lanes were full, but I'm surprised. Well, should I be surprised? I'm not sure, but the vendors are back in front of all the businesses again. I know further down the road it's a very big problem in front of Domino's and Jollibee and stuff like that. You cannot go inside because of the vendors. They're explaining that this is sidewalk, so even if you have some kind of agreement with the building owner, it doesn't matter because this is owned by the government, it's owned by the people. And some items are being confiscated, like chairs, umbrellas, things like that. But the goods themselves are allowed to keep. It looks like all of those carts are being pushed inside this shop here, so I guess they're somehow related to them. If you look here, believe it or not, this is actually meant to be a road, completely impassable because it's used as storage by the vendors. And this one over here is also meant to be a road, but again it's used as storage by the vendors, and they'll say their farewell to the police now. Like I mentioned, it's always useful to have them on operations. They do help the men, they protect the men, and they do keep public order, and it really helps the MMDA, so it's always good to see them here. The team are now on Pasai Tarf, EDSA Pasai Tarf. They issued a ticket to that ice truck over there, also to these jeepneys here for obstruction. They're basically making it into a terminal. There are signs here which says no loading, unloading anytime, no parking, waiting, stopping anytime. But there's always a lot of jeepneys here waiting for passengers, obstructing the road. Obstruction is 1,000, illegal parking attended is 1,000, disregarding traffic sign 150, so it's quite an expensive ticket now. Further down the road you can see an enforcer's writing out a ticket to this vehicle, fully obstructing the sidewalk, partially obstructing the road. And further down the road they issued a ticket to this vehicle. You can see it's obstructing what should be the sidewalk. That forces people to walk in the road, puts them at risk of getting hit, can also add to congestion. So they put the ticket on the windscreen. It's unattended, illegal parking, so that's 2,000 peso.